Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 836A, and today's date is December 7th, 2015, and the title of this episode is The Global Economic Collapse is Here. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, on Friday, we saw the high-frequency traders, the plunge protection team, push the market up as best they possibly could, and we ended the week on a very, very high note. Went through the weekend, and here we are on Monday, and the market has fallen again. Remember, this entire economy at this point is driven by the central banking system. It's driven by manipulation. It's driven by the plunge protection team, high-frequency traders, to manipulate what everyone believes the economy is doing. Now, we've been looking at what's really going on, not the stock market, not the suppression of gold, but what's really happening here. And we've been seeing so many indicators that this economy is completely and utterly falling apart. And each country is starting to feel it. Europe is feeling it. UK is feeling it. Finland is sliding deeper and deeper into a depression. Almost 7 years into the current global expansion, Finland's GDP is 6 points below its previous peak. So what are they going to do about it? Well, the Finnish authorities are preparing to unleash helicopter money to save their nation by giving every single citizen a tax-free payout of around $900 each month. Now, is this going to save the economy? Absolutely not, because like QE, which was stimulus, it's only going to be a temporary measure. This does not fix the economy. The private Western central bank economies are completely falling apart around the world. The reserve status of the dollar is imploding right now. The debt is way too high. It cannot be sustained, and they know this. This is why Christine Lagarde, Obama, they're all out there pushing taxes, pushing plans to take your wealth. A 10% wealth tax, a carbon tax, an Obamacare tax. You name it, they're pushing taxes because they need to figure out a way to pay off this debt. But guess what? They're not going to be able to do it. The economy is accelerating right now. The economy is falling apart. It's getting worse and worse as time goes on. And they know this, and they cannot stop it. I mean, when we look at the unemployment, we know they're giving us these manipulated numbers. It's at 5%. It's going to go down to 4.9, 4.8%, but it makes no sense whatsoever. But when we look at this data, some of the data wasn't even mentioned in the corporate media. The fact that 319,000 part-time jobs for economic reasons were added in November, while 375,000 foreign-born workers found jobs in November. A whopping 326,000 native-born Americans lost their jobs. Very interesting. I mean, when we look at this situation, we understand why Obama wants more and more illegals coming into this country. Now, I have nothing against people coming into this country. This is what America is all about. It's the melting pot, yes. But there's certain procedures, there's certain laws, there's certain ways of getting into this country. Not just jumping over the border and saying, I made it. It doesn't work like that. And then having the government pick you up, transport you over to a city, give you working papers, allow you to get student loans, allow you to get auto loans, allow you to get a job, allow you eventually to go on to Obamacare. If that's the case, why have borders? It makes no sense at this point. But of course, they need this because they need more and more people in this country, low-paying workers, to take out these loans. People that never had any debt. Because right now, the everyday man and woman in this country, they're tapped out. They're done. And over the last 8 years, 2.7 million foreign-born Americans have found a job compared to only 747,000 native-born. That tells you something here. That tells you this country is completely falling apart. Now, of course, the corporate media, the government, trying to convince you that we're in this fantastic recovery, this holiday season is going to be great. We've already seen Black Friday, complete disaster. The numbers didn't hit. Right now, the Retail Association is saying that the retail sales in the United States are likely to post a modest, maybe 0.1% month-on-month upward growth. And when we look at this, we see vehicle sales has slipped. We know gasoline prices are continually coming down. And when we look at Black Friday, we know retail sales have fallen. But when we look at Cyber Monday, they have also declined since what we saw last year at the same time. So last November, Cyber Monday sales were better when unemployment was higher. Does that make any sense whatsoever? No, of course it doesn't. Because what's happening here, and we've been tracking this for a very long time, going back to 2008, 2009, 10, 11, 12, unemployment was much, much higher. But Black Friday, Cyber Monday, retail was stronger. Now, as years have gone by, unemployment has come down 7, 6, now 5%. And during this trend line down, retail sales have been declining. How can this be? Let's use some common sense here. If more people have work, that means more people should be out shopping. That means more people have funds coming in. That means the economy is doing better, but we're not seeing any of this. Why? Because they're not counting those people that fallen off. They're not counting those people that went from a full $80,000, $60,000, $50,000 job to a part-time job of $25,000, $20,000, $15,000. They're not looking at that whatsoever. And this is what we are seeing when we look at the real numbers, when we look at what's really going on, not their manipulated numbers. It makes perfect sense of what is happening. We're going to see many, many more stores close down. We're going to see an increase of layoffs coming up in 2016. It is going to be a complete disaster. Right now, we're at the end of the year, and already this year, I mean, we're counting like over almost 500,000 jobs lost in 2015. Going back to June of 2014, it's close to 1 million, and this is just going to accelerate. But don't worry, the central bankers, the U.S. government, they're coming up with all different ways to make this economy continually chug along, because they need to bring this down themselves. This way they're not blamed for it. Why don't they want to be blamed for it? Because they want to restart this whole system. If the central bank and the U.S. government is blamed, they can't restart the system. Of course, after the war. But the government right now is doing something very interesting. It's called home-ready mortgages. These so-called enhanced affordable lending products provided by the U.S. taxpayer enabled 97% plus loan-to-value loans to borrowers based not on their income, but on non-borrowers like extended family or children. So, in this latest offering, Fannie Mae offers what is called innovative underwriting flexibility. Offers an innovative new feature that supports extended family households. Will consider income from a non-borrower household member as a compensating factor in the DU to allow for a debt-to-income ratio, 45% to 50%. Allows non-occupant borrowers, such as parents, permits rental income from accessory dwelling units, such as a basement apartment. Home Ready will consider incomes from other planning to live in the house without being a borrower on the loan. This means if you live with your parents, siblings, working children, or maybe a roommate, as long as they make 30% of the household income, Fannie will include their money to help you qualify for a loan. Also, non-occupants of the home can add further income to the mortgage, perhaps parents living elsewhere but willing to help pay the loan. But it gets even better. If you don't have the down payment of 3% or less of the home's value, well, then there's a solution for that too. Flexible sources of funds can be used for the down payment and closing costs with no minimum contribution required from the borrower's own funds. Gifts, grants, community seconds, and cash on hand permitted as a source of funds for down payment and closing costs. What are community seconds? Well, this is what they are. An alternative finance option for low and moderate income households, under which an investor purchases a first mortgage that has a subsidized second mortgage behind it. The second mortgage may be issued by a state, county, or local housing agency, foundation, a nonprofit organization. Payment on the second mortgage is often deferred and carries a very low interest rate or no interest at all. So to sum all this up, if you don't have any savings, the government will give you some to use as a down payment. And then the government will allow you to borrow 97% of the value of the home on the basis not of your income and ability to pay this, but on any ragtag bunch of friends, family, or pets that you can gather up under your new roof. I mean, this is just unbelievably mind-boggling. We took this to the next level here. This is going to be a disaster. They are pushing and pushing and pushing this because they know they're stuck. They know that the people are tapped out. So they're doing whatever they possibly can to bring these people in just to get mortgages, loans, to continually inflate this gigantic bubble. And what bubble is that? It's the real estate bubble. Because the people have been sitting on the sidelines. The hedge funds and investment companies, foreign investor, which China was a big chunk of this, it is drying up right now. And the hedge funds and investment companies, they can only do so much. They need people in the market. And guess what? People can't get into the market. They don't have jobs. Now, the Baltic Dry Index, which is the raw material for factories to create goods to ship off to retail stores, that is holding steady at 551. It came down again by 12 points, and it does not look good at all. Peter Schiff is out there, and he's saying all the emergency measures implemented by the government following the crash of 2008 was a temporary stopgap. The whole economy has imploded. The bottom hasn't dropped out yet because we're able to go deeper into debt, but the collapse is coming, and we know it is. It's only a matter of time. And right now, he is saying that America is worse off now than it was during the pre-crash, with the national debt rising to astronomical numbers. There's just no way out of this, and it's a matter of time before this entire thing comes crashing down. Now, Citibank and JP Morgan, they are putting together probability models of how the U.S. economy is doing, and they're saying that we're approaching a recession. JP Morgan's Michael Ferroli warns that in the past, low unemployment rate, rising compensation, falling margins, elevated durable investment have historically signaled an elevated risk that an expansion is nearly at its end. And he's putting the probability of the U.S. going into recession at 76%. Citibank right now is saying that the probability of recession in the next year rises to 65%. And what they're doing at this point is they're getting ready and kind of preparing everyone that the economy is going to be turning down. Now, it's not just going to be turning down, it's going to be imploding on itself. Now, one of the quants at JP Morgan, Kolanovic, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, already warned us about when the markets were going to fall, and he warned everyone back in August. And today he released more information about what is coming. And he is saying that we are seeing some of the same risks that we saw back in August. And right now he is saying that he sees a huge sell-off coming once again. And this is coming very, very quickly. And it looks like the market will be coming down. And it might even be a little bit worse than what we saw in August. So we need to look out for this. When is this actually going to happen? He's not really saying exactly when. But what he is saying is, as a result, the market no longer has any capacity to absorb large shocks. And if this does come down at this point, the market might not be able to bounce back at this time. And if the market goes, the stock market of which I'm talking about, this will give the signal that we are in the full-blown collapse. Remember, this is all the central bank has. This is the one thing they can manipulate to try to convince the entire world that everything is fine here in the United States. But when we look at all the other indicators, we're looking at retail, we're looking at unemployment, not the fake numbers that they're giving us, the real unemployment rate, which is close to 30%. When we're looking at real estate, when we're looking at manufacturing, when we're looking at the real GDP, not the GDP that's included with Obamacare, research and development, and the revised numbers, we're talking about the real negative GDP because manufacturing has left the United States. We are seeing this collapse. It is happening right now, right here. And the stock market, when it falls, that will be the last sign to let all those people that have been sleeping that, yes, we are in a collapse. And this is what we're seeing. And like I said in the past, if the Fed decides to raise the interest rates even by a little small percentage, that is the signal that they are preparing to bring this economy down, that they are ready. And you know the first wave of raising the rates is not really going to affect anything because they're going to make it small enough where it doesn't. They just want to prove to everyone that we are in a recovery, and then we will see the event because there'll be a big, big lead up to the next increase of interest rates, and this will never happen. And we can see already this is what they're planning for, and this is why you need to be prepared. This is why you need the food. This is why you need water. This is why you need toiletries. You need to have cash on hand. You need gold and silver to protect your wealth. You need a weapon to protect your family. If you haven't done any of this, I would start right now. This is the perfect time. You have a little bit of time to prepare. I would start. You can go to lifereliance.com. They have water filtration systems. They have bug out bags. They have seeds. You can customize your order. It's pre-made food ready to go. Whatever you do, continually do it and go ahead and start. I wouldn't wait any longer. You don't want to be at that point where you go, oh, I was going to do that. Now the collapse is here. You see what's happening in the supermarkets. People are running like crazy to get whatever they possibly can because they're not prepared. You don't have any cash on hand. You're running to the ATMs, and there's lines because people are trying to get their money out, and you know that there were going to be bank holidays. And all of a sudden, all the banks closed down. Now you can't get any of that. You were going to buy that gold and silver, but now it's too late because now gold is at $2,000, $2,500, and continually rising. And everyone is scrambling at this time to get what they need. When you think you have that time, you really don't. Now is the time to do it. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.